Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I hope you're as excited as I am because today we are going to be discussing about the new marathon monster that is from the mythic category as well, and this monster belongs to the nature category. Now this information has been released. We have the skill set and we also have a backstory on him and how this monster came into being basically in the Monster Legends universe. Let's read about that very soon. Now this is your chance to get a rank 4 or a rank 5 if you are in the top teams mythic monsters, so be sure to work for those lads and get those cells with your team. Now a lot of will not be able to get this monster at rank 4, rank 5 or whatever, but at least you'll be getting this monster at rank 0, so make sure to work for this monster because this monster is a great attacker and we'll be reading about it soon. So let's read the backstory. After Rosiyuku left him, Kihaku used the amber to create his very own perfect disciple. That's how Noar was born. With his reptilian agility and instincts, however, as Noar grew up, her interest turned towards boxing instead of traditional martial arts. Kihaku had created the perfect fighter, just not the one he had been trying to create. Now this is a very interesting backstory, and poor Kihaku, right? So basically a lot of people are hating on this monster's design and I personally am all for it. It looks really amazing, and when I saw this monster for the first time I fell in love. Now this looks like a beautiful green snake with boxing gloves and it has a bit of a twist to it which I really like. So as for the skills, let's read about those. So for the skills we have the first skill, which is Endless Endurance, deals heavy physical damage to one enemy. Now this move could be used, but moving on we have greater moves with greater power, so we'll be skipping this. Then we have Kradote, deals moderate physical damage to all enemies, requires cooldown. Again, nothing too special about this move as well. Moving on we have Cobra Shot, deals low nature damage to all enemies, applies daze to all enemies, requires cooldown. Now this is also nothing great, but still it deals low nature damage and also gives the enemy monsters daze, which reduces their accuracy by 25% and could prove very useful in some situations. Then we have Toxicity, deals moderate nature damage to all enemies, applies poison to all enemies. Now this could be a very useful move to run simply because it deals raw nature damage to the enemy and also applies poison, which will be dealing damage over time. So right now from reading these moves I can guess this monster is an attacker and he will have attack based moves. So this monster will probably be running with strength runes and a speed or a team speed rune accompanying those strength runes. Then the next move is Next Round. Removes all negative status effects from itself, applies life regeneration to itself and stamina regeneration as well. Requires cooldown. This is a self NER, which is removal of all negative status effects from itself, which can prove very useful in any type of circumstance in which you have effects like curse, daze, nanowires, etc. on you, and it's really important to remove them so that you may land your attacks or you may save yourself from dying. Then also applies regeneration, which will counter those torture effects. Then also applies stamina regeneration, which could prove very useful as well. Moving on, we have Sok Dong, deals massive physical damage to one enemy, requires cooldown. Now the thing about this move, it deals massive damage and that damage is physical. Now this will remove any of the elemental advantage or any of the elemental disadvantage as well. So this just deals pure raw damage to one single enemy, and I think this move has single hit KO potential, so you can potentially use this move to kick out the enemy denier, kick out the enemy support monster, or you can knock down basically any monster on the enemy team you want with this move. Then we have Nukai, deals low physical damage to one enemy, applies bleed to one enemy, gives one extra turn to itself. Now, as you know, if you have been watching my channel for long, you know that I do not like skills with an extra turn, but some people really do appreciate them, and I think the meta is shifting towards extra turn moves again, simply because there are not a lot of monsters with anticipation out there in the mythic category, and that's why I think Social Point is focusing on giving these mythics extra turn, and that is the case we see with Nightingale as well. So I would or would not recommend this move. Now depending on the situation, you could possibly and potentially run this move, and yeah, I could suggest running this, but I think that this monster is better run with other skills. Then we have Seekin, deals low physical damage to one enemy, applies daze to one enemy, gives one extra turn to itself, requires cooldown. And then we have another extra turn skill, so these extra turn skills will be coupling. Now the way I see it, that you could be running these skills, these extra turn skills, if you have a Megaton monster or someone that can tank a lot of attacks from the enemy team, even if the enemy has an anticipation and you decide to run these moves. But why take the risk, right? So I wouldn't recommend these right now, but you can again switch them in, switch them out depending upon the situation, whether the enemy monster has anticipation monsters or not. As far as I know, there are no monsters in the nature category with anticipation, so you should be good in wars with nature category if there is no other enemy monsters with anticipation. Then we have the special that is KO, applies immediate death to one enemy. So the special is very nice, but I would have liked it to be dealing massive special damage or massive nature damage to all of the enemies rather than just taking out one enemy. But this is also very good because you can completely annihilate one monster out of the equation, and yeah, boom boom, right? So the skills that I would be recommending right now is definitely Sock Tongue, that deals massive physical damage to one enemy, requires cooldown. Then I would also recommend Next Round, removes all negative status effects from itself, applies life regeneration as well as stamina regeneration. Again, those removal of negative status effects is really important in this era, where a lot of tortures have become really common, especially tortures that deal damage over time or that have a positive effect block or nano virus, etc., like curse. So those can be very dangerous, as well as negative effects like blind, total blind, etc. This could be very useful in those situations. Then I would recommend Toxicity Tad, that deals moderate nature damage to all enemies, also applies poison to all enemies, requires cooldown. Now you could consider either running Cobra Shot that applies daze to all enemies, or you could run one of the extra turn skills in conjunction with this depending upon the situation. So yeah, that completes my mini analysis on this monster. I'm eagerly waiting for the skills, and as soon as the skills for this monster are released, I will be making a video on that too. So be sure to click on that subscribe button, click on that notification bell, so that you get the latest news, updates, and whatever is Monster Legends related coming right at your doorstep, right? So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.